Hello and welcome to Chaos to Clarity, the podcast that's your compass to navigate the exciting world of service-based businesses. If you're a determined woman in your current business adventure, striving to conquer the chaos and build your empire, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Maggie, your go-to business bestie and chaos navigator. I've spent nearly 2 decades in the service-based industry, building a photography business, a yoga studio, and now a thriving coaching practice. I've cracked the code to consistent income without all the chaos and noise. So get ready to increase your business growth, connect with your ideal clients, and find ease in both business and in life. It's time to turn your frustrations into inspiration and your chaos into clarity. So go ahead and grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and let's dive into the journey of building your dream service-based business together. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie. I'm your host. And today I am here with Christa. And Christa, I would love for you to come on and just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
So my name is Christa Nichols. I am an Iowa farm wife turned sales copywriter for digital marketing campaigns. I've been able to build a career writing for clients from home that's allowed me to homeschool our kids, travel, just kind of run life the way that we want to as a family. And I love talking about it. I love talking about what I do, and I'm super happy to be here.
Yay, awesome. Thank you so much. I am also so excited to have you on. I know a lot of my listeners are people who sometimes struggle with copywriting. I feel like, don't we all? That's one of those things where it's like, I get into business, I'm so excited, and now I have to write, and I have to write good. And like sometimes it can be really challenging for people. So I'm curious how your business, like, can you share how it kind of evolved and like just any of the chaos that you experienced? And that could be anything from like, imposter syndrome to like, I literally had this thing in my business like crumble to the ground. Just, I would love to
Um,
hear anything that you have to just to kind of help people see that like everybody has these struggles.
yes. Well, chaos is probably a good description of the beginning of my journey as a digital marketing entrepreneur. In 2018, I was doing a completely different business. I made promotional materials for cattle auctions. And I got a phone call one day, and basically when I hung up, I no longer had that business. 80% of the contracts that I delivered were from one singular client, and that client had announced they were going to retire, and that was it. And at the time, that was our main source of income because I had retired my husband from his job, and he was working with me in this business. We had just pulled our kids from school so we could homeschool them, and it was like the floor just kind of dropped out. And yeah, so I had to come up with something fast. Since I was already kind of familiar with the online world, I knew that I wanted to continue to find a way to generate income from home. And I wanted to try. Although I had not really done that with my first business, it had kind of been given to me from someone who retired. It was time for me to figure out if that was something I could do. And I wanted to give it a try. So I started looking at different ways to make money online. I had no idea all of the different avenues that were out there. And I kind of went ham. So I decided, hey, if I can learn how to do social media management, Facebook ads, build sales funnels and websites, write copy, all of these different things, then I can just offer all those as services and it'll be great. Well, I started generating income and landing clients, but I offered so many different services that I was working 16, 18 hours a day and absolutely did not love most of the things that I was doing, was exhausted, pretty much burned out in the first 4 to 6 months. And that's when I had to get really serious about, okay, what do you want? Because I'm not the kind of person who can just do something to make money. I have to enjoy it. I have to feel like I'm good at it. I have to feel like that I can get results for clients. Otherwise, it just feels like I'm running on a hamster wheel. So my husband sat me down and he was like, look, you have to start saying no to some of these services because this isn't why we decided to have an online business, right? We wanted to spend more time together as a family, and you're here, but you're not here. You know, you're working from sun up till way past sundown every single day. And he said, just only keep the ones that you love. And the two things that I enjoyed and felt like I was somewhat decent at were Facebook ads and sales copy. So I actually took a job inside a Facebook ads agency, writing all their ad copy and running ad campaigns. And that was my first exposure to sales copywriting. I knew that there were people out there writing the words that sold the things, but I'd never really thought that much about who they were or how they did what they did or how they got clients. But I discovered that I had a knack for it, and I decided that I wanted to give it a try. So after about a year in the agency, I was fully booked with agency clients, but also on the side, I had a number of clients that had hired me to write their sales copy. And my husband started, you could do this. You could do this yourself. You could have your own business again. And I was so scared because I tried that, right? And I burned out so badly, and I didn't want that to happen again. But I knew that if I didn't try, I would never know. So I left the agency, went off on my own as a sales copywriter, and within about 60 days, we had tripled our monthly revenue. I had my first 20K month, and the rest is history. Like, I had to slog through all of the things I didn't love doing, all the things I wasn't good at, all the things I didn't enjoy, and to find the thing that really was my calling. And it wasn't fun, but it was helping me become the person that could lead the kind of business that I have today.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I love that journey. I mean, I obviously don't love the hard parts, but I think it's super inspiring, right? That you persevered, you pushed through, and you dug a little bit deeper. I think that is something that a lot of people they're like, "Yay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur," right? And then you like things go really well, and then all of a sudden things are like, "Oh, this is not what I thought it would be." Yeah, really. And I think making your way through some of that hard stuff really shows you like, oh, I am so much stronger than I
Yeah.
ever thought I could be. So I know, like copywriting is basically a conversation, right? You're having a conversation with someone else. So I work a lot with lead generation through the lens of conversations. How can we have better conversations? So I'm curious, what did some of those conversations look like that really helped you grow your business? How did you connect with some of your clients? What was that process for you?
Well, in the beginning, I collected with a lot of clients through the agency because they came for Facebook ads management, and they liked their ad copy so much that they started asking, well, can you look at my landing page? Can you look at my emails? Can we take a look at the sales page to see, what do you recommend? And that was so fun for me.
Hmm.
The element of fun was something that I did not expect. Like, oh my gosh, I get to do this and people pay me for it. What? So in the beginning, it was just like a side effect of serving clients in the agency. But I also worked really hard on building a network. I was in a coaching program for digital entrepreneurs, and I, made friends. I served my audience a lot. So wherever I was, I would just freely give information or help or look at people's copy and give recommendations. And that was really good too. And I just really was fortunate to connect with some really great people who believed in me and were willing to recommend me to their friends and other people in their network. So it really was about conversation. Absolutely. Being willing to show up and give value and let people know what you do. That's a big one. Like, they won't know what we do if we don't talk about it. And just being willing to give with no expectation of anything in return. Not that you should burn yourself out doing that, but just with open hands, and it tends to bring things back to you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think people, at least I've seen this with my clients, and I know in my journey as an entrepreneur, I've owned businesses since 2007. So, like before social media was like a thing, I had to learn how to generate leads literally in the grocery store checkout line. That was one of the places that I generated leads because it was a place I could have a conversation that you're kind of held captive waiting to go through the line. So, and maybe it's a Midwest nice thing, right? Where it's like just talk to your neighbor just because you can. And I also live in a small town, right? So I'm like very used to that like small town conversations, but that lead generation strategy definitely brought me so much abundance in my first business. So I'm curious for you, you were talking about just how much, you were able to show up fully in those spaces and you were able to give. I'm curious what that like, what is the boundary that you kind of had to create when it was like, oh, am I giving too much? Am I not giving enough? Can you talk about that where you kind of like what is the balance that you've kind of found in your business as far as like giving free things and then like where does the paywall come in for you?
Yeah, totally. So I think you really just have to determine your, I don't, I don't want to say feelings, but when it starts to cross into, you want to give with the right heart. And you know that you're starting to cross that line of too much when you start to feel a little bit of resentment about it, like
Yeah.
all I do is give or whatever. And then you kind of know, like, okay, this relationship, it needs to shift in a way. I need to give myself permission to say no or to present another a paid option. And that's okay. Being willing to give yourself permission to draw a line and know that that's what's best for you and your business. And it's what's best for that person as well. Because when people don't invest anything, it's so much easier for them to not actually do anything
Mhm.
because nothing invested, nothing really, no loss if they don't take action on it. So
Right.
sometimes charging somebody for something is the best thing you can do because it moves them to take action and make a change or implement something new or hire your services. So that's kind of how I regulated that. I watched to see, am I feeling like it's an equal give and take, or am I starting to feel like it's weighing too heavily on my resources that I just, as you say, okay, I don't want this to affect a relationship. So I just need to recognize where that point is and be willing to say yes. And the next steps are to book a call to, discuss services or whatever.
Yeah. I think that is a really great point that you make because I know a lot of my clients who have come to me, they're afraid to make that ask to say like, well, I've given this free thing, but like how do I how do I ask for the sale? I feel weird. I
Right.
feel salesy. I feel icky, right? And I think, like for me, now having like 17 years of business over three different businesses, like that, I don't necessarily feel that ick anymore. I know in the beginning I did, right? But that was definitely something that I feel like you learn that as you grow in your business. You learn where those lines in the sand are to say, okay, yes, I've helped you with ABC. If you want to go into XYZ, yeah, I'm down. Like, let's talk more about it. Let's get on a call. Let's talk about like what that looks like. And we'll see if we can, figure out something that works for us both. Um, I think that is definitely something that it takes practice, right?
Yes.
To learn how to do that. So I'm
It
curious
does.
about like what does I talk a lot about consistency in my content and with my clients. I'm curious what consistency looks like for you in your business when it comes to like generating leads, whether that's for you or for your clients. Like, what do you, what would you call consistency for you?
So for me, consistency is showing up and staying visible. There's so much information out there online because I don't really serve local businesses. I serve digital entrepreneurs, people who are running digital marketing campaigns. That's where I find my clients, is online on social media. So I have to make sure that I'm there, because if I'm not there, they're not going to just remember that I'm the copywriter they want to work with. I have to continue to show up and put myself out there, and take steps to make connections. So I'm super religious on this, because I know what a difference it makes. And it's not always fun. It's not always like the most entertaining thing that I do, but I'm always glad when I stay consistent, because it really builds momentum. So the longer you're consistent, the better your results are, the more engagement and reach you have, the more followers you grow. And any of those followers at any time could become a client, or they could recommend you to someone else for your services. So I am really, really, just really, really good at being consistent, showing up. I do a lot of short form media, video media, and I do a lot of just outreach and connecting on Facebook, LinkedIn. But one thing that helps me is I have a spreadsheet with a list of like prospecting tasks. And I challenge myself every day to do at least 3 of those activities. Most days I do more, because once I get started, I like to check all the little, but that helps, because if I left it up to, whatever I think about doing today, well, days get crazy, days get busy, Mondays blow up, any day of the week can be that way. So I like to make it easier on myself by giving myself resources and tools that kind of systematize it. So I don't have to think about it. I just have to go there, pick a few, I can check them off, that little dopamine hit. I'm like, woo, and know that I did something that benefited my business again today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That makes me so happy to hear that. I give all of my clients a tracker, which is a spreadsheet, right? It's a tracker for the people that they're talking to, for the posts that they want to post. And then there's a cute little checkbox that says, I posted it here, here, and here, right? And just, again, gives them that system, that easy, like, okay, here's what I have to do. I've done the thing, and now I can move on. And that, like, even all of all the things that I've ever done in business, when I moved from in-person businesses to digital, like that was so scary for me. Right? Like, and not like scary as in like, oh my gosh, I'm oh, I'm scared to do this, but just like so different.
Different.
And being different felt so scary and challenging for a while that I'm like, I have to do something. And creating that spreadsheet then like gave me this whole like, oh, I feel in charge. Like, wow, why didn't I do this in my other 2 businesses? But
Right.
I
And I
didn't.
think it kind of like helps you unplug from the emotional
Yeah,
drama that you can create in your mind about doing things that are new and different and uncomfortable. It
right.
just is. So you
Yes.
just do it. You can
Yep.
unplug from the feelings that it makes you feel, and just be like, you know what? I know this is good for my business, so I'm just going to knock it out.
Right. Yeah. And it honestly took my like social media like time from like hours of
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna go search for this thing and then get lost down the rabbit hole.
Right. Scroll,
Down,
scroll.
yeah, down to like, okay, I've got a 15-minute routine 3 times a day. And it's so much less drama, which is so nice because now it's like, okay, it's 8 o'clock. This is what I do at 8 o'clock. And then I can move on to the thing. And oh, it's lunchtime. Okay, I'm gonna do 15 minutes of this and then I'm gonna have lunch. Right. So it just
Yeah.
definitely gave me clarity, but it also gave me power where it was like, oh, yep, okay, I'm checking the thing, I'm having the conversations, I'm posting, I'm consistent. It doesn't feel like a hustle like it did back in like, 2008, 2010, where it was like, yep, I'm just out here hustling every day. Um,
Right.
it is no longer like that. So awesome. So I'm curious, I know you have kids, you homeschool, you're doing all the things, so amazing, but I'm curious, like, what is your go-to method for like recharging, right? We've talked so much
Mhm.
about work and like all the things. Like, what do you do when, you've had all that and now it's time to recharge, or, like you just need that like unplugging. What is your go-to for that?
I get up and leave the room. I'll go outside if the weather is nice. take a little walk around the farm. I do like physical. So a lot of what I do is, mostly mental energy, but I'll go do something like pick apples or pull weeds or, play with my dog or whatever to just kind of give my brain a break and move my body. So that's a big one for me. I also enjoy reading, listening to music, cooking and baking. So those types of things, doing something, but doing something physically is like the reset that I need when I'm just feeling like my brain is mush.
I love that. That's so good. And I just can relate to that so much because I feel the same, right? When you're sitting in the same spot, all of a sudden sometimes it's been hours later and you're like, oh, I can't think anymore.
And how did this day go by so fast? Like, where did it go?
Totally, totally. Awesome. Okay, so I have one more question before we wrap up. And this is my favorite question because it's kind of an off the wall question, but I'm curious, what is your favorite kitchen gadget and why? Or what would you be? What's your favorite kitchen gadget that you would be and why?
Okay. Well, my favorite kitchen gadget right now in this season is my Pampered Chef core peeler slicer, apple core peeler slicer, because we've got apples coming out of our ears. And this thing makes it quick and easy for me to do something with them. If I literally had to pick up a knife and peel them, I would not. I just wouldn't. So I think I like that. And that's like me. I like to find ways to optimize my time to make things efficient. So yeah, I think I am. I am the Pampered Chef apple core peelers.
I love that. I love that. And I always love, like, I just love when people, like, when they choose whatever gadget and they're like, oh my gosh, that I do that for my clients. How cool.
Yep. That's so fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christa, for being on. So I'm going to drop all the links below, but for everyone that's listening, can you tell them the best ways to connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on social media, any platform. My handle is at Christa Nichols Copy, and Christa is spelled like Christmas.
Hey, awesome. Thank you so much. So again, all the links will be down below. And if you have any questions for Christa, feel free to reach out to her. If you need a connection, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to make that connection. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Wow, what a great interview. Thank you so much for showing up here on the Chaos to Clarity podcast. Again, my name is Maggie. I'm so excited to connect with you. You can find all of the information, all of the links below in the show notes for today's interview. And I hope you have the best day ever.